Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another TBR video for the channel. Today we are doing our August TBR video, and we're going to go over every book that I plan to read in August, but I don't necessarily think that I will manage to finish all of them. However, I do want to at least try, because I don't actually have too much to do this month, beyond the 3 days that I'm going to be busy moving into my new apartment, and then the last week of the month when I actually have school. So, I should be able to finish most of them, if not all of them, right? So, yeah. But this TBR pile is going to be a little bit larger than usual, so sit down, get a drink, maybe, get a snack or something, and sit down and enjoy this book talk, basically, that I have for you guys. So, everything that I'm going to mention is going to be somewhat in order of priority, not necessarily in the order that I want to read it. And that's mostly me kind of trying to organize the things that are most important for me to finish reading at the top. But given that I read by feeling, it's very unlikely that I'll actually follow the order of the list. So, yeah. Now, I have a few novels that are carryover from last time. Like, I have Agincourt right here, which, as you guys can see, I've only just started. And Agincourt is about this battle between British people and French people during some French Revolution. I think it was the Battle of the Roses or something like that. And it's kind of interesting. I actually quite like it. Bernard Cornwell is a pretty good writer. And I like the adaptations of his works. I think, well, at least the one adaptation that I know of for the Saxon Tales, which is called The Lost Kingdom, which is a very good TV show. Really do enjoy it. I think the main character, Uhtred, is a very cool character. And yeah, so far I haven't really gotten into the meat and potatoes of this series just yet, but it is very interesting, and I like the way it's written. I like the kind of very gritty, realistic vibe to it, but I also like that there's kind of this element of mysticism and kind of, what's it called? Like otherworldliness to the way it's written, because it's such a far away time period that it kind of doesn't really match up with what our expectations of the world of the time period actually were like. So it's kind of interesting. I like it. It's very cool. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about Agincourt that I haven't actually said before. So there you go. The next thing I want to check out is Brightblade. I haven't actually finished this book, even though I've been reading it for quite a long time. And I don't know exactly why that is. It's not that I don't like it, and I think I say this every time, but I think that it's because the series doesn't necessarily lend itself to very quick reading, if that makes sense. Like, it's very well written, and the prose is such that I don't feel that it's weighted down by flowery language or anything like that. But the kind of early plot line is kind of slow, and it kind of makes it so that I don't develop investment in the story too quickly. And so anytime I put it down, I can put it down indefinitely, because I don't really have this kind of like need to know what happens next, if that makes sense. But I don't necessarily think that this is a kind of issue that a lot of people will have. I think this is a very specific to me kind of issue that is just due to the fact that I have a lot of other things that generate a lot more interest and a lot more momentum of like finishing the reading than Brightblade does for me currently, right? But I do want to finish it. I want to review it. I think it's very nice that the author sent me a copy of it, so I don't want to like not read it ever, but it's just something that I'm going to take my time with. So yeah, I do want to finish this, so this is a high priority item on my list, but who knows if I'll actually finish it. Next, I have Kuroichi, which is a novel that she sent me. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, and I don't want to say it wrong, so I'll just put it there. And I'll actually put her Instagram, so you guys can go check out her Instagram and kind of check out what she's writing and stuff like that. But she sold it to me as this historical OELN, which is about this female character that is kind of like wanting to be a ninja. It kind of reminds me of Naruto, or kind of maybe something more along the lines of Blade of the Immortal, in this kind of very like Edo period historical setting with this kind of vaguely magical element to it that I'm not really sure what it is. So it's very kind of like Blade of the Immortal-esque, although it very clearly seems that Naruto was actually the main inspiration. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I've read about 30 pages, and so far I'm liking it. I think that it's well done, but it is kind of clear that the author has only just started to develop their writing prowess or their writing ability, and so it's kind of, I don't think clunky is the right word, but it's kind of like a little bit too on the nose in terms of writing. Like, there's this kind of balance that you have to have between like very easy to read things and very heavily flowery language. Essentially kind of something like Brandon Sanderson at the low level and Tolkien at the very high level for like epic fantasy. And I think that the author here for Kuroichi is kind of a little bit on the more basic side of things, a little bit past Brandon Sanderson in terms of how basic her writing is. And so it doesn't make it difficult to read, but it kind of feels a bit rough, I guess, if that makes sense. So it's not like a bad thing. It's just kind of like, oh, I can tell that you haven't really written that much just yet. So it's kind of interesting. But I'm looking forward to finishing the book and kind of seeing how she kind of gets better at that throughout it. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, those are the 3 top priority things that I have on my list. After that, I do have kind of some amount of priority, but mostly it's just kind of like whatever I happen to grab out of the pile is fine. I don't really need to finish anything anytime soon. But yeah, so the first thing I have is a manga, and it's 7 Deadly Sins. Here you go. Folding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, I bought these from my buddy Josh way back in the day. His channel is Shonen Trash. It's down in the description. And I was going to sell them back to him because he wanted to collect it again. But then he was like, no, I can't right now. So, you know, do whatever you want with them. So I'm going to read them because I haven't read them yet. And if I like them, I'll keep them. And if not, I'll just save them up for whenever he's ready to buy them or sell them if he never is, right? So that's what I'm going to do. 7 Deadly Sins is essentially this very convoluted love story between these 2 characters. He's Meliodas and she's Elizabeth. And there's this kind of very Britannian, Arthurian level kind of medieval fantasy type of vibe to the world. And it has these kind of very interesting demons and kind of fae creatures in it. And it's this very complex idea that I don't really know how to describe. But the reason why I like 7 Deadly Sins, even though the main character is kind of horrible, is because for me, 7 Deadly Sins is this kind of, maybe not nostalgic, but very like meaningful story because it's one of the first anime manga that I watched when I was in university after my kind of rebellious period of, oh no, I fucking hate anime because it's for kids kind of thing when I was in high school. So I started watching it with a buddy of mine after we had like a calculus class together, and we became friends through the calculus class. And then he was talking to me about stuff he was watching, and then he was like 7 Deadly Sins. And I was like, I've never watched that. And I was like, okay, let's go watch it right now. And so we did, and I really liked it. And I thought it was very good, but I never finished it beyond season 1. And then there's a few other anime that got me back into the anime manga community. But 7 Deadly Sins was like the one that kind of tipped me over the edge, if that makes sense. I've mentioned this before, but it's 7 Deadly Sins, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and then My Hero Academia. Those 3 are the ones that kind of got me back into anime and manga after I had taken a very long break from them after early high school when I finished watching Attack on Titan Season 2 or something. I was just like over it. I was like, fuck this. I don't care about this stuff. It's for kids. But then I was like, oh, well, maybe not. It's kind of enjoyable. And so I'm back in the game, I guess. But it's all thanks to 7 Deadly Sins. So I want to read it and kind of enjoy it and see how it goes. Plus, I also just want to be able to collect more Kodansha stuff. Because honestly, I don't really pick up that much stuff from Kodansha. So, yeah. Then, Bestiarius. I want to read this because I bought it in Mexico, and I really liked it. Oops, sorry. Trying to see because it's out of order. Okay, let's see. There you go. I've already talked about this a few times because I've mentioned it a few times, but Bestiarius is a story that's divided into 5 sections, 5 arcs, you could call them, which are in Spanish called books. Like the first book, the first volume contains the book of Ties. Volumes 2 and 3 contain the book of Friends. Volumes 4 and 5 contain the book of Pride. And then volume 6 contains the book of Determination. And volume 7, the book of Heroes. And it's kind of this very interesting story that, or at least as far as I know, about this Roman empire, in the early days of the kind of modern dating system, like in 885 after Christ, I guess, which is, I guess, the late Roman period, actually, but kind of the early Roman Empire. I'm not exactly sure how that kind of works. And it deals with these gladiators that fight against mythical beasts. And this kind of war that Rome is fighting against these mythical beasts in its conquering of Europe and stuff like that. And we follow these 2 characters, Finn and Durandal, as they kind of go through life and along the way kind of connect with other characters and kind of do these things. And I don't know, I'm just really into it because the art is kind of amazing. Like, it just looks so good. It's so nice. It's very, very good. It kind of reminds me of Vinland Saga, but also kind of reminds me of Berserk, if that makes sense. I think it falls somewhere in between those two. And I just think it looks amazing. It's just so good. There you go. Very nice. But yeah, that's basically why I bought it. And it was also like less than $5 a volume. So I could not pass it up. There you go. This is in Spanish. So maybe it's going to be slow to read, but hopefully I think it'll be fine. It'll work well. But yeah, that's Bestiarius. Then I want to read Drifting Dragons. I got to pull them out. Give me a second. Okay. Then I want to read Drifting Dragons, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Now, I've already reviewed volumes 1 and 2, so the only one that I really want to read is volume 3, since the other 2 would be rereads. But I want to read this, one, because it's dragons, and technically August in the fantasy art community is Smaugust, or Dragon Month. And I thought that was a fun thematic thing, because I really like dragons. So that's partially why I want to read it. But also because I want to start this series on the channel where we look at original content, and then we look at adaptations, and we kind of compare and contrast, and kind of talk about how one did something better than the other, or how one is different from the other and stuff like that. And I think that Drifting Dragons is a pretty good one to start with because it's not very complex in terms of like plotline or anything. Since it's kind of small stories that are all kind of interlaced, it's a little bit easier to do this with than something like Naruto or The Devil's a Part-Timer or something like that. So yeah, I want to experiment with different kind of video ideas and kind of different analysis of stuff. And I thought that a kind of source versus adaptation would be a kind of cool video idea. So that's why I want to read this. Also because I like the anime for Drifting Dragons. I thought it was pretty good. I don't necessarily think that it was the most faithful because the CGI, kind of the 3D CGI kind of thing that they have, kind of loses a lot of the beautiful Ghibli type of art style that this story has. But I think it manages to contain the plot line rather well and kind of develop that kind of mystery and allure of the dragons in the series that makes Drifting Dragons such an interesting kind of thing, right? So that's that for Drifting Dragons. That's why I want to read it. There you go. I probably will end up buying volume 4 throughout the month, but I'm not too sure. I actually was going to, but then I decided not to because I didn't want to waste my money just yet. I wanted to wait out a little bit and maybe kind of order things online, but who knows what I'll do because I don't actually have that much money to spend monthly. It's just this month was a little bit different since it was my birthday, basically. But yeah, then we have Delicious in Dungeon, which I also have to pull out. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Delicious in Dungeon, volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, Delicious in Dungeon also features a dragon, so that's partially why it's here. But also, it's this very nice fantasy series that has to do with food. Food is one of my favorite things in the world. I love the importance of food culturally to humans, but also I really enjoy eating nice things, and I actually enjoy preparing things as well. I enjoy cooking a lot, and this kind of has a very fun kind of vibe to it because it's like D&D setting type of world with this kind of idea that we have to cook all of the things that live in it. It's very interesting. I think it's very fun. I like the first volume quite a bit, which is this one. And I thought that it was actually very good because not only does it like show you the cooking of these fantastical elements and fantasy creatures, but it also teaches you kind of very nice basic ideas of cooking that are applicable to the, real life, right? So I like it a lot because it's educational in a funny kind of way that is also kind of useful because it's enjoyable in the kind of fantasy setting. So I think that's very cool. I think that's one of the things that Western media has very, lacking in, is this very weird kind of like hobby-based series, right? Because we don't really have that. Most of the comic books that we have here in the West are kind of action thriller or, superhero type things. And I would really just like one that is about cooking, some weirdo guy that just enjoys going out to try out things and being a foodie or whatever. I think that'd be really fun. I think it wouldn't sell well here in the US, but it would just be a nice experiment. So I think it'd be very nice. But yeah, then I want to read Ragna Crimson. Now, I have 2 volumes, volume 1 right here and volume 2 right there. Volume 3 is going to come out soon, but I want to read this because it's about dragon hunters or hunting dragons or something like that. And I think it's very cool. Otaku Mike made a video about it, and I thought it was very nice. I actually bought these from him because he didn't really want them anymore. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's very interesting. I like the art a lot, and it looks like it's going to be very kind of grimdark, and I like that, so it's very nice. I don't actually have too much to say about it since I don't know too much about it, but yeah, there you go. That's Ragna Crimson. And then I want to take a break from a lot of this fantasy stuff, so I'm going to read Monster. Now, I have Volume 1 and Volume 2, or Omnibus 1 and Omnibus 2, Collector's Edition 1 or 2, whatever you want to call them. But I want to reread the first one, and then I want to read this one, and hopefully I'll be able to buy Volume 3 sometime this month in order to continue reading through it. But who knows? Honestly, I'm not too sure because these are expensive, and they're also not the easiest to find. But Monster is a very interesting story. I think it's the kind of perfect introduction to Naoki Urasawa's work because it's very good. It's very complex, and it has this very nice kind of like 80s, maybe 90s psychological thriller movie vibe to it, kind of something like Silence of the Lambs or something like that. I don't know if that's actually from the 80s. Maybe that's earlier. I'm not too sure, but it has a vibe similar to that, very kind of like complex, slow to develop, but very impactful kind of psychological thriller element to it that I think is very, very nice. And it's also so like artistic in like the way it like expands its plot line. I think it's like very interesting. Like if you think of manga as this kind of very basic and very just kind of like entertainment based medium that is just about, getting you to enjoy something quickly without having to think about it, I think that Naoki Urasawa's work, and specifically Monster, will kind of change that tune a little bit and make you think of manga as this kind of medium through which amazing stories can be told in this kind of very deep way, this kind of more artistic kind of way, instead of this very consumer-based product that is, the stuff we get in Shonen Jump. So it's very interesting. I think it's very nice. But yeah, that's it for Monster. Then I want to read Dragon Hatchling, which is the newest light novel that has come out by Seven Seas. Yeah, this is just one of those reincarnated as a monster, now I have to level up kind of things. I'm curious about how this works. I think it's very cool that he gets reincarnated as a dragon. Dragons are my favorite thing ever, and it's just kind of gonna be very fun, I think. And I like the artwork a lot, and it actually kind of reminds me of the Slime Isekai artwork, which is kind of cool. Let me see if I can find some. I hate it when I'm flipping through things and I can find art really easy, but then as soon as I want to find it, I can't, but there you go. That's the dragon coming out of an egg or something, which is very cool. I think it's very nice. But yeah, the art is very cool, and I think it's going to be a very fun one. I don't really know too much about it, but there you go. Then I want to read Mashal Volume 1. Now, I've actually already read this before. I read it on the Shonen Jump app. But, dude, reading physically is just such a better experience. And I can't wait to read all the author notes and stuff and just figure out what's going on. I love this fake Dumbledore character. It's very nice. And, yeah, Mashal is this kind of very fun Harry Potter parody, I guess, that also kind of functions as this very cool gag action manga. It's very fun. It kind of reminds me of One Punch Man in like concept and kind of how it's structured, but it also has this kind of very Harry Potter-esque parody element to it, and it also is kind of similar to Black Clover in the sense that the main character has no magic in a magic world, and he has to overcome this issue by being strong, which I think is the relatively common trope now in manga and anime. I think there's Mashal, Black Clover, and then there's at least 3 other light novels that kind of deal with this kind of muscles over magic kind of character development thing. So it's very interesting. I don't know. I also really just like the color and the cover. I just think it's very well designed. It does kind of give me this like 80s, 90s Britain kind of vibe to it, because I don't know why this like spine just kind of gives me that idea. And then this very nice kind of like old-timey looking design and pattern on it just is really nice with these like fleur-de-lis kind of things on the corners. I don't know, it's very good. I also just like that it's brown because that kind of gives it more of that old vibe. And I think it's very nice. So yeah, there you go. That's Mashal. Then I want to start reading The Shadow Rising, book 4 in the Wheel of Time series. The Wheel of Time is badass as fuck, man. It's so cool. It's so epic. And it's gonna come out really soon. I think we finally have an official release date for the TV show, which I think is November. I don't think we have an exact date just yet. I do think it's November, but I can't remember if it's early or late November, but I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how they conceptualize this in a way that is understood in television. I think it's very cool. It's going to be so awesome, and I can't wait to actually see Alvaro Morte, which is the guy that was the professor in Money Heist, if you guys have watched that. He's going to be in it. He's going to be this guy that's kind of like out of his gourd, a very crazy kind of character in the Wheel of Time early on. And I'm just really excited to see how Alvaro Morte kind of does that, because in all of the TV shows that I've seen him in, he's a very kind of calm, collected, and very kind of methodical individual. So I'm curious to see how he's going to do acting as this very bizarre, crazy, out of this world kind of character. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. And it's also very nice to see just people from Money Heist just becoming very popular internationally thanks to Netflix. I think it's very cool. But yeah, that's the Wheel of Time. There you go. Then we have Lone Wolf and Cub, the first volume. This is the Spanish edition, the Mexican edition. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much to say about it. I want to read Lone Wolf and Cub. This is the only volume I own right now, so I just want to start reading it and kind of get a feel for it. See if I can order some more before, you know, the end of the year. Probably kind of get them in Christmas or some time earlier than that, maybe. I don't know. My family doesn't usually travel to Mexico or have anyone travel from Mexico to us, except during the summer or during winter. So I don't necessarily know that I'll have any chance beforehand. But, I mean, if I do, I'll probably take it. Otherwise, I'll just have to wait till December. But yeah, Lone Wolf and Cub, very classic story, very interesting, very kind of cool. It deals with this samurai guy that carries around his kid, and they go through doing these, you know, samurai jobs. And it has a very interesting kind of like, I don't know, Mandalorian vibe, or rather the Mandalorian has this Lone Wolf and Cub vibe. And I think it's very interesting because it's just kind of crazy. Like, you would never think that a father would take his child with him in this very kind of perilous activities, right? But it kind of somehow works, and I think it's very good. It's very interesting. And I know that there's this very impactful moment that happens in this volume that I just haven't gotten around to just yet that I think is going to be very, very good. So, yeah, there you go. the last two things I want to read are Blade of the Immortal Volumes 1 and 2. These are the wideband omnibus editions that are available through Panini Manga in Mexico. And I already read Blade of the Immortal Volumes 1, 2, and 3, or the omnibus, the first omnibus, once before, but I want to just reread this and then decide if I want to buy more of them in the winter. So yeah, plus this will have new material that I haven't read yet because this has volume 4 in it, so that's gonna be pretty cool, and I just really want to enjoy these as they are. So there you go. That's all I gotta say about that. That's what I actually have on my TBR as like things I need to read this month. I also have a few alternative titles just in case I don't feel like reading these. I have Naruto. Wherever I am right now, I think it's like chapter 100. I'm in the middle of the Neji versus Naruto fight, and I want to read up to 238, chapter 238, which is the end of Naruto, the original Naruto series, like the version that we saw on television, which I think that's right after Konoha Crush, so that's pretty nice. And if I don't feel like reading Naruto, I want to start reading the Water 7 Saga of One Piece, which are chapters 303 all the way to 441. It's going to be a long arc, but I think it's going to be very nice, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know that there's some cool stuff and some very not cool stuff that happens in Water 7, but I just can't wait for it. I think it's going to be very nice. But yeah, other than that, I think if I don't like, or if I don't feel like reading anything on my alternative titles list, I'll probably end up going back to Dr. Stone, because Dr. Stone is just so fun, man. It's so cool, and I just love the artwork in Dr. Stone. So yeah, that's all of my reading plans for this month. I don't necessarily know if I'll finish reading everything, but I definitely want to at least try to finish everything. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching all of it, if you did. If you didn't, thank you as well for watching whatever part you did watch, but I mean, so it's no big deal. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you guys are reading this month. I always want to know what people are doing, and I also am just interested in interacting with you guys, because this is what the channel is for. That's why I made this channel. I want to interact with other people in the community, and although I do manage to do that through interacting with other YouTubers, I want to interact with other like normal people down in the comments. So please leave a comment and let me know what you guys are going to read this month. It'd be super nice. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.